Face front, true believers. With tribute game side-scrolling beat-em-up Marvel Cosmic Invasion launching onto every system under the sun, we thought it would be the perfect time to look back on the history of Marvel video games and select the most standout entries featuring our favourite Marvel superheroes. This list features games based on any Marvel license, from solo vigilantes to teams of Earth's mightiest heroes. First, some ground rules. We've picked just one game per sub-series, so don't expect to see all 3 Insomniac Spider-Man games on here, for example. All entries are primarily based on a Marvel IP. So we're not including things like Tony Hawk's Pro Skater 2 just because Spidey makes an appearance, or Fortnite for having a lot of Marvel collaborations. The game can't be 100% unplayable, RIP gazillions Marvel heroes, and overall quality, historical relevance, and how successful it is at fulfilling the superhero fantasy of feeling like you're within the Marvel universe are all taken into account. With that covered, let's dive into IGN's top 10 Marvel video games.
X-Men.
Konami was the king of arcade hits through the 1990s, delivering many instant classics like The Simpsons, TMNT Turtles in Time, and Dance Dance Revolution. Also included in that lineup is its take on X-Men, which continues to be one of the most endlessly replayable arcade games in Konami's catalog. Based on the pride of the X-Men animated pilot, a precursor to X-Men the Animated Series, X-Men Arcade features 6 playable mutants traveling across the globe in an effort to thwart the schemes of Magneto, the villainous master of Magnet. His words, not ours.
I am Magneto, master of Magnet.
X-Men Arcade doesn't even take a full hour to complete, but its classic beat-em-up design is polished to a mirror shine. So much so, it's impossible not to enjoy it with a group of friends. The goofy translations only add to the game's charm.
X-Men, welcome to die.
And punching your way through armies of Sentinels, Reavers, and Magneto's lieutenants is still as entertaining now as it was back in 1992. The last time it was re-released outside of specialty arcade cabinets was on the Xbox 360 and PS3, so we're going to need a fresh port of it, stat.
Fall back, soldier. I'll take it from here.
The Marvel Cinematic Universe changed the game for quite a few classic Marvel heroes, most notably those associated with the Avengers. Iron Man, Thor, and Captain America were hardly nobodies before the MCU, but their popularity skyrocketed thanks to the success of Marvel Studios' first wave of films. Said films also received a few game tie-ins courtesy of Sega, but the only one that's worth looking back on is Captain America Super Soldier. Starring the first Avenger on a World War II mission not shown in the film, the game features semi-open level design that unfolds across the campaign, and a rhythmic melee combat system, both of which are clearly inspired by Batman Arkham Asylum. There are many foes to face, including several important villains from the comics, such as Baron Strucker, Madam Hydra, and Iron Cross. Video games based on movies don't typically play out well, but the key reason Captain America Super Soldier fares better than its forgettable MCU tie-in peers is because it's the only one that truly goes to lengths to make you feel like the hero it's based on. Throwing Cap's shield, deflecting enemy projectiles, and cracking Hydra skulls with a plethora of unique special move animations feels fantastic, and really sells the fantasy of playing as a super soldier.
Holding Grand Central hostage at rush hour? Now that's criminal.
One of the best examples of LEGO's long video game history also happens to be a Marvel game, LEGO Marvel Superheroes, released in 2013 by veteran brick game developer Traveller's Tales. Featuring over 100 playable characters from the comics universe, LEGO Marvel Superheroes unquestionably has the best roster of any LEGO Marvel game, since it doesn't excise Fantastic Four and X-Men characters like its successors, LEGO Marvel's Avengers and LEGO Marvel Superheroes 2. That's not to say there isn't fun to be had in those games, but the first LEGO Marvel Adventure was one of the last games to feel like it was based on the classic era of Marvel Comics, before everything became strangled by MCU synergy during the mid-2010s. Running around a LEGO version of New York with your favorite Marvel heroes while working to thwart the schemes of Doctor Doom and eventually defeating a giant LEGO Galactus is still some of the most fun you can have in a game flaunting the LEGO brand. After developing multiple Marvel fighting games in the early 90s, such as X-Men Children of the Atom and Marvel Superheroes, Capcom crossed over one of their own brands with the Marvel Universe in X-Men vs. Street Fighter. The rest, as they say, is history, and the Marvel vs. Capcom series has remained one of the company's most beloved franchises ever since. Choosing between MVC2 and MVC3 was hard. The former is arguably more historically important and has a larger character roster, but the latter has secured this spot thanks to its gorgeous 3D graphics, improved musical score, and absolutely chaotic gameplay, which has been driving fighting fans bonkers since the game's original release. The incredible animation work makes each match a visual feast to behold, and the game brought in many new important roster choices such as Phoenix, Dormammu, and MODOK. The Ultimate release added even more iconic Marvel heroes like Doctor Strange, Hawkeye, and Rocket Raccoon, thus making it the definitive version of one of the best fighting games ever made.
Come on! Go for it! Yeah, go for it! Yeah! Airstrike, suckers! I love the smell of napalm in the hyper combo KO! To the hole!
It's hard to launch a new live service game in today's market. Just ask Warner Brothers about Suicide Squad Kill the Justice League, or Sony about Concord. But NetEase Games managed to pull it off with Marvel Rivals, the most literal interpretation of the hero shooter genre. From slicing through enemies with Magic Soul Sword to diving on opponents as Venom, or swallowing whole teams as the adorable Jeff the Landshark, Rivals fulfills the fantasy of playing as Marvel's most iconic heroes. These characters shoot, or otherwise maim and support, each other across a variety of maps that also pull from Marvel's rich comic history, using the multiverse to deliver a wide variety of locations such as Asgard, Krakoa, Kunlun, and the Tokyo of 2099. The base formula of Moorish 6v6 matches and excellent art direction have been supplemented by a tsunami of fresh content over the game's first year, including a dozen new playable heroes and numerous new maps and modes. It's difficult to evaluate games like Rivals since they're constantly evolving and adding new stuff, but as it stands, it's exactly the sort of game that's easy to get lost in while playing with friends or climbing ranks in competitive. For your daily dose of Marvel gaming, it doesn't get much better than this.
1,000 gods!
City's been quiet lately. Maybe my luck's finally changing.
When it comes to movie tie-in games, few have been as well received as Spider-Man 2. Released alongside the Sam Raimi film of the same name, it eschewed traditional self-contained levels for an open-world approach, something deeply ambitious back in 2004, and allowed you to freely swing around New York City to your heart's content. While not technically the first superhero game to use the open world format, would you believe that honor goes to the 1997 Batman and Robin game? Spider-Man 2 did popularize the idea with the gaming masses. The web swinging mechanics were revolutionary for their time, as you needed to actually attach your webs to environmental geometry instead of just firing them up for them to latch onto the skybox like in previous games. Developer Treyarch also expanded the movie's story with characters from the comics, including fan favorites like Black Cat, Mysterio, and Rhino, on top of the requisite encounters with Doc Ock.
Fight me! Stand and fight me!
It all adds up to an entry that changed how superhero games would be made for years to come. Plus, what other game lets you deliver pizza as a side activity?
Surrender your ship now, or I shall destroy it.
Not on my watch.
If you're looking for a game that truly transports you into the Marvel Universe, then one of the best examples has to be Raven Software's Marvel Ultimate Alliance. Built off a foundation developed for the studio's earlier X-Men Legends games, Ultimate Alliance is a cooperative action RPG where you guide a team of 4 Marvel heroes in their fight through an epic adventure that's essentially a company-wide crossover event come to life. Dr. Doom has assembled the Masters of Evil, and the Avengers, Fantastic Four, X-Men, and other unaffiliated heroes like Spider-Man have to team up to take them down. Such a strong roster means you're free to recruit your own super team made up from your favorite heroes. The reason Ultimate Alliance is still so beloved by Marvel fans is because it makes full use of the Marvel mythology, featuring characters and locations from virtually every corner of the Marvel universe instead of just one. And unlike LEGO Marvel Superheroes, which has the abstraction of everything being made of LEGO bricks, Ultimate Alliance feels like the world and characters of Marvel Comics have been ripped right off the page and transplanted onto your TV screen without any compromises. It might not be the newest or prettiest game on this list, but the vibe and experience hasn't been replicated by anything before or since, even its own sequels.
You're in for the fight of your lives, but it has to be done.
Typical Parker luck. I'm gonna need some backup.
You might not expect Firaxis, the developer behind Civilization and XCOM, to create one of the best Marvel games, but that's exactly what we got with Midnight Suns. A tactical RPG with turn-based combat, deck building, and life sim mechanics, Midnight Suns is a bizarre mix of elements that somehow coheres into something rather special. You take on the role of the Hunter, an original character who fights alongside established Marvel heroes like Blade, Ghost Rider, Iron Man, and numerous others. The Hunter and their allies fight in battles that emphasize strategy and team synergy, and then hang out between missions to develop interpersonal relationships. Featuring a lengthy single-player campaign, an engrossing narrative with strong character writing, and plenty of ways to customize the build of your Hunter and their allies, Midnight Suns is an underappreciated gem that's sure to charm, if you're willing to go along with its quirks.
Now there's a real rah-rah spirit I can get behind.
But next time, Marvel, don't call them friendship levels. Let us date our favorite Marvel heroes. You can't tease me with a Scarlet Witch romance and not deliver.
Yes!
The commander has no time to meet with law-breaking pirates like you.
That's just it, we're not pirates. We're legally incorporated heroes for hire.
After the disappointment of Marvel's Avengers, who knew that Square Enix would publish one of Marvel's best ever games shortly afterwards? That would be Marvel's Guardians of the Galaxy from developer Eidos Montreal, a single-player action-adventure game starring the spacefaring super team. Taking on the role of Star-Lord, you can give orders to Gamora, Rocket, Groot, and Drax during combat, comboing teammate abilities for maximum effect. But the combat isn't the star of the show here, it's the story, which is a beautiful, character-driven tale that gets surprisingly emotional on multiple occasions. With fantastic performances from the main cast, a sharp script that merges elements of the Guardians' comic personas with the MCU's revisionist takes on the characters, and an incredible musical score from Richard Jakes, this game is arguably a more satisfying blockbuster experience than any of the Guardians movies. If you haven't played it, you're missing out on one of the best superhero stories released in any medium in years.
Drax, what part of quiet don't you understand?
That is quiet, Peter Quill.
No killing!
Hey, fellas.
Ah! Spider-Man!
Speaking of great superhero stories, Insomniac Games of Ratchet & Clank and Resistance fame delivered one of the very best in its first Spider-Man game. Creating an original version of Spidey's mythology, Insomniac used a fresh version of a familiar world as part of a larger effort to refine the many gameplay advancements that have been made in Spider-Man games since Treyarch's groundbreaking web swinging, and balanced all that with top-shelf production values to deliver the most satisfying Spider-Man game ever released. Some may argue in favor of Marvel's Spider-Man 2, but the sequel's novel focus on switching between playing as Peter Parker and Miles Morales, as well as minor gameplay improvements, are offset by a much weaker script that doesn't emotionally resonate in the same way the first one did. And so, Marvel's Spider-Man is the best overall Spider-Man game, featuring a lively world brimming with side activities, smart reworks of many of Peter's supporting cast, and plenty of action from start to finish. We'll see if Insomniac will finally top its best effort with the upcoming Wolverine game and the inevitable Spider-Man 3, but for now, this is the best it gets if you want to play as everyone's favorite web-slinger. And as Marvel's flagship character, it just feels right that his best game is also the greatest Marvel game ever made. And there we have it, the 10 best video games to have come out of the House of Ideas. Did your favorite make the list? Let us know what you think of our rankings in the comments, as well as your thoughts on the best Marvel games. For more lists, why not check out our top 10 survival horror games and our top 10 best Call of Duty campaigns, and for everything else, stick with IGN.